enough to carry that fight for freedom. Not true, Josh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Many great leaders fought the fight, like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, and so many others, who turned out to be great souls. Here in Guyana, we had two great souls, Cherry Jagan and LFS Burnham, who fought for freedom. And as a nation of 6 races, we all looked up to those two men and believed that they were honest and caring men. And whatever they did would be in the best interests of their people. That's the kind of love and admiration we developed as a people for the leaders of this land. Good, bad, or indifferent about those two men, Cherry and Burnham, guys, keep that to yourself. For me, both of them would have never allowed what is happening in this country today to happen. But both have moved on, and several other leaders took up the mantle in which that culture of admiration and love moved over to these new leaders. Back in those days, we had good leaders, strong leaders, but today, good is not a good word Glenn can ever use to describe many of our leaders today. They are more evil than evil itself. They are more corrupt than corruption will ever be or become. And if you can point me to one that you think is decent and honest in this land, please call me. Please. If you can show me one leader who is genuinely concerned about the plight of the poor people of this country, whisper their name in my ears. If you can tell me one leader that is really looking out for your best interests with the wealth, the resources God Almighty has blessed us with in this country, gosh, let me know, man. From now on, guys, every Wednesday, I will be sitting with 2 of my reporters just to give all of you the opportunity to have your say as to what is going on in your country with your resources. So, please make the little notes and the questions ready for this panel come beginning this Wednesday. And with that, I want to say namaste to all you beautiful people in Guyana, around the world, and in this studio. Namaste, guys. The fire is blazing and the water is hot. The message is in the minibuses. It's in the rum shops. It's in the temples, churches and masjids. And it's at every street corner. Yes, this oil, gyaf, is all over. And I love it. Guyana is waking up. The fire is burning and the water is boiling. Waking them up. Waking them up. It is time to put something more in the boiling pot. That's a song from Sparrow. You guys know it? You got a little piece to play? Remind their souls? Play it.
Fire blazing and the water hot. Oh Lord, it is time to put something in the pot.
The fire blazing, the water hot. I used to love that song. Yeah, man. Now it's time to put something in the pot. That's the song, Sparrow. One of the greatest calypsonian this region would ever see. None has ever come close to him. I hope President Ali hears that calypso. People pot empty and the fire is blazing in their belly. It's time to put something in the pot for the hungry, starving people of this land. Not only you, President Ali, or your cabal, and Exxon pots should have food. The people of this country are hungry and they need food. President Ali, it's time to wake up and stop following the footsteps of Bara Jagdeo, ducking from the press, hiding from the public for whatever reason only you alone knows. Uncle and auntie, he's now whispering our names and talking about the work we do with the newspaper and this radio station. The work me and my team are doing, Uncle, is now rocking their boats and getting under their skins, touching their nerves. The work we are putting out here is also creating great stress and distress for the oil people of this country. And I am so happy about that. It's more than a joy to be able to sit here and educate you people. It's a healthy medicine for my body. And a blessing from God Almighty, giving me the wisdom, the strength, and the fearless courage to enlighten all of you as to what is taking place in this beautiful country called Guyana with our bounty resources, or our bountiful resources, I should say. President Ali find time to cut ribbon and commission two heavy-duty cranes. Hear that? He find time to cut ribbon to commission 2 heavy-duty cranes, machines that does lift containers at Houston. Uncle, you gotta see the gathering to understand how important 2 cranes are. It's something like a drag line that these wharves use to load and offload supply boats for the oil ships. How much money those cranes will bring in to the Guyanese owners and the shore base, I don't know. But he find time to go cut ribbon and give speech there. President Ali used that forum to come after Lall. Man, you have to hear his tone of voice and watch the video to see how the Exxon Kings and the likes of Ashni Singh clapping hands and smiling as he was talking. They failed to see the people in the audience were rolling their eyes when President Ali was talking. That's what they failed to do. Could you play it for the people to hear?
So the production sharing agreement has become an obsession for some within our country. The debate over this agreement has unfortunately become lopsided, and for some, obsessive and paranoid. I've said before that the PSA is an inheritance. My government came and met it. We did not sign that agreement. But guess what? We understand that we are obligated to act in good faith in honoring it. We are a responsible government. A country does not turn off when one government comes in and another government comes out. That is why there are consequences of bad government and there are successes of good government. But when you inherit agreements, you have to work with them to the best of your ability. So we have some choices. Or we, in looking at it, you had choices. Very elementary choices according to some. Dishonor the agreement and go to court. Plug up the wells or One party say, no problem. It's not far-fetched. Look around us, our neighbors, about agreements that were not honored, and see the consequences. If you're brilliant at research, brilliant at looking for facts, don't go too far. Look around the region for agreements that were not honored and see the consequences. Write about the consequences. Do you understand the concept of capital flight or investment flight or the loss of national credibility? This is not a humorous matter. This is a serious matter. This is not about capturing a headline or capturing hearts. This is about the life of a country, the future of a country.
This is about the future of a country. Let me break down what he said there and add some color and meaning of what he said there, Uncle. He said the PSA, which is the contract with Exxon, has become an obsession for some within our country. And debate over this agreement has unfortunately become lopsided and for some obsessive and paranoid. You know what he means? You know what he means when he says by obsession and paranoid, Uncle? He's saying that all who talk about the lopsided oil contract is going crazy. We must keep our mouth shut. Exxon should bend over all of we and do what they want with us. That's what he means there. So it is now very clear that Exxon has succeeded in bending him over. And he now trying his best to have us all bend over the same way he has been bent over. Oh, what a terrible position we find ourselves in. What a horror story. What a catastrophe we are heading into when we have leaders like these. This is beyond sad, Uncle. I myself cannot believe that those words came out the mouth of the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. This same man who said no Guyanese could never agree to such a contract, and how everything is on the table for review and renegotiate, when he was a presidential candidate waiting to be elected, is now telling the Guyanese people we must roll over and take what we get and shut up. This is your leader in this God-blessed, beautiful country called Guyana. This is the man who attacked and vilified the ExxonMobil contract. Now he is attacking and vilifying the few, like myself, who are saying what he himself and his closest cohort said. Yes. Let me repeat word for word that you just heard. I quote him. I said before that the PSA, the contract, is an inheritance my government came and met. We did not sign that agreement, but guess what? We understand that we are obligated to act in good faith in honoring it. We are a responsible government. A country does not turn off when one government comes in and another comes out. That is why there are consequences of bad government and successes of good government. Wow. Had I been at that ceremony, I don't know if I would have been sitting, smiling, grinning, laughing, or cussing, to watch and hear how President of Guyana has suddenly twisted his mind, his mouth, and his words by talking about good faith and honoring obligations inherited. Like he didn't know that when he was cussing down the contract, uncle. Today he's saying we are a responsible government and how a country does not turn off when one government comes in and another one go out. Oh boy. What is he saying now, uncle? The coalition government signed the best contract on earth. Every Guyanese must shut up and take it like just like that. That's what he's saying there. Nothing will change. You hear that? That's exactly what he said. Nothing will change. You guys certain these are the people y'all staying on your fingers for? I always say in my quiet moments, if y'all really understand a little country bit, what both governments, the PPP and the PNC, did over the years, y'all will live on the streets and never stop shouting. Imagine the citizens like me who are calling for a change to this contract is now being labeled by the president of this country as obsessive and paranoid. In other words, we are crazy. Huh? Uncle, I am still trying to figure out what he means by bad governments and successful governments. I don't know if he was talking about the PNC being bad government and that the PPP is a successful government. Somebody need to help me with this. The PNC signed the worst deal ever. And now the PPP is saying leave it alone. Don't touch it. And doing nothing about it. Will that make Guyana successful, brothers and sisters?
No.
Is President Ali an Obia man or a magician man? Huh? Guys, I would be so ashamed to open my mouth and say things like what come out of President Ali's mouth. These are the people y'all in love with. Let's move on and add some more color to what he said there. He said when you inherit agreements, you have to work with them to the best of your ability. So we have some choices. Looking at it, we have choices. Very elementary choices, according to some. Dishonor the agreement, go to court, or plug up the wells. Guys, nobody's saying dishonor the agreement, uncle. Nobody said plug up the wells or go to court. All we are talking about is what came out of his mouth when he said we have to review and renegotiate everything. That's what we and the world are talking about, Mr. President. And I don't have time to play him back. I played him so many times, guys. I don't want to play him back. You have heard him many times, in which he said we have to review and renegotiate everything. But let's move away from that word renegotiation. Okay, let's move from there. You know, suddenly, President Ali suddenly hate the two words, review and renegotiate. It looks like you have become more obsessed and paranoid when those two words are used in the public domain, although it is the right thing to do. The right thing to do so that the Guyanese people can inherit what rightfully belongs to them. President Ali, tonight I will not go near those two words. Let's move away completely from the word review and renegotiate the oil contract. Let's move away from that. Here is what I am proposing. Here is what I am recommending. Here is what I am urging, Mr. President. And I am urging, proposing, and recommending these things on behalf of all the Guyanese people. Mr. President, we want you to demand for Guyana so that all of us can become filthy rich. Every home in this land can take home $1 million a month, and the salaries of all the public servants can be tripled. No longer will half the population go to school, go to work, or go to bed hungry. Listen up, guys. Liza 1 and Liza 2, the PNC giveaway. You, Mr. President, and Barra Jagdeo came in and run past PNC with Liza 3 and Liza 4 projects. That gone too. Now, you and Exxon talking about the 5th and the 6th projects. I am begging you now, Mr. President, as the leader of this country, for the sake of all the people of this country, can you please insert, or let's include in the production license you're about to issue for the 5th and 6th projects, just a couple of things which has absolutely nothing to do with renegotiating or touching the ExxonMobil contract. Here we go. This is the first one. Ring fencing. 2, taxes. 3, some more profits and royalties. 4, protect Guyana and the region with full liability coverage. 5, cap the interest rates on the investments out there. 6, the amount that comes out for cleanup costs. And the final one, 7, check, verify, authorize and audit every single cent Exxon said is spending out there. Are those 7 things too much to beg for? Beg for the Guyanese people to have a good life, Mr. President? Is that too much to ask for, in which Guyana can really become the Dubai you were talking about? I don't think so. Ring fencing alone, Uncle. Had we had that in Liza 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of us would have already been collecting half of every barrel of oil that comes up there every day. Just less the 25 or $30 cost to bring it up. Uncle, because Guyana done pay off all the expenses for Liza 1. But because ring fencing was not installed, we will have to continue to live with the half of a quarter barrel. Yes, we now getting, instead of half of a full barrel. Mr. President, this is your time. Ring fencing is in your hands to stop ExxonMobil from deducting expenses here, there, and everywhere and throw it on these projects. Would you stop this madness in the 5th and 6th project? Guys, let's wait and see, okay? taxes. This country not getting a blind cent from Lisa 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are already approved. Had we been collecting taxes from Exxon and their partners, Guyana didn't have to run to foreign banks for loans to patch roads, build hospitals and schools. We would have had enough money. Yes, more than enough money in taxes alone to run this country. Are you going to ensure that Exxon pay their fair share of taxes on the 5th and 6th projects? Come on, man. 4 projects are already gone, and not a single cent taxes this country is set to get out of those projects. No, man, no. You got to change that, Mr. President. That has nothing to do with review or renegotiate of the contract. Yeah. Moving on, Uncle. Isn't it time that President Ali said to Exxon that in the 5th and 6th projects, this country cannot live with that 2% and that 12.5% profit share? Guys, what you say?
So true.
Huh? Come on, man. This too ain't got nothing to do with renegotiating the contract. These are all new projects and reasonable demands to put on the table as conditions to approve or before approving these projects. Again, Guyana can become a lender rather than a borrower with these conditions. We are not asking for blood. We are not wringing Exxon hand to block it. We are just giving them a hunch so that this starving nation can really inherit and live the life that their shareholders are enjoying with our oil money. Why that shouldn't be? Why they must be eating lobster and prawns, drinking fine wine, while we, the owners of this oil, must settle for cackabelly fish and drink bush rum? No, man. No. Mr. President, this one, no Guyanese should have to demand, ask for, or beg for protection from an oil spill, protecting our country, our people, and that of the entire region. Mr. President, you have a family, you have properties. You want to tell me, you want to tell this nation, you're comfortable leaving them in this unprotected way? No, man. I don't think so. Every Guyanese needs to know that they are secured with full liability coverage. How come you don't know this, man? Full liability coverage from the parent companies of Exxon, CNOOC, and Hess. How come Bharat Jagdev don't know this too? When Ashni Singh made a public speech on the importance of insurance protection. Again, guys, this has nothing to do with renegotiation of the contract. This is a simple business practice that must be in every business, much less these high-risk businesses such as the oil industry. You have seen it yourself. Almost all the countries on earth producing oil had to resort to taking oil companies to court. We have reported this in the newspaper many, many times. How many countries were left to bury their dead by themselves and suffer the consequences of an oil spill? Tomorrow we are carrying a story in the Kaieteur news in which another oil spill happened in Nigeria Friday gone. Read it. They might have to go to court to get the oil company to compensate the farmers again. Come on. Come on, President Ali, don't do this. Don't do this to this nation. Please, I am begging you on behalf of all Guyanese. The next, cap the interest rates. How come a man investing money in which you got to get profits and you don't know the interest rate the man putting on the money? Huh? Which part of the world did this thing happen, brother? Huh? In which business, man? Huh? How come the man taking out more money in interest rate alone than what you getting in profits? And you're not saying anything. Not making a move to say, hello, is how much interest y'all charge we? That is what is going on, guys, with ExxonMobil in this country. Uncle, this thing is so sad, horrible and terrible that the IMF, the World Bank, and many oil exports is saying put a stop to it because the oil companies them will give you guys a long sharpened stick to sit on, not to hold on to, a sharpened stick to sit on. You ready for that, Mr. President? Well, you're not ready for it. Don't allow this to happen to this nation, brother. Cap the interest rate on the investment cost on the 5th and 6th projects. And by the way, the nation still awaiting the answer. Yes, the answer you promised to the same question. To the Bobbition. How much interest we are paying on the investments so far? You have not spoken about that anywhere. How come? Control the hundreds of millions, soon to become billions coming out every year before profit is shared as cleanup costs. Is that too much to ask for, man? The Commonwealth, with 56 member countries, including Guyana, put out a statement warning its oil-producing members to watch out on that one. If not, we will be holding an empty bag at the end of the oil projects and no money, or with no money to clean up. This is another area in which Guyana could lose billions of US dollars, more than what we will ever get in a lifetime from this oil. Again, Mr. President, this has nothing to do with review and renegotiating the contract. This is basic business practice. Will you ensure the 5th and 6th projects, we have that say inside that too? The 7th one, since when a man like Lall have to tell you, Mr. President, someone who begin your career at the Ministry of Finance, that Guyana has to check, verify, authorize and audit spendings in any business, man? Since when? No, man. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that we have to tell President Ali to check, verify, authorize and audit why Exxon said they're spending out there. No, man. 7 basic rules that must be in any business if you are to safeguard yourself and see your way to get something out of your business. I haven't talked about renegotiation there, have I, guys?
No.
I haven't said anything. I just laid out what is required to be in an agreement between two partners. Yes, Mr. President, if you do these things, then we can say you are a president for all the people. by the people and for the people. Guys, then he went on to say, we must look at our neighbors about agreements that were not honored and see the consequences. If you do, oh, you're brilliant at research, brilliant at looking for facts. Don't go too far, he said. Look around the region for agreements that were not honored and see the consequences. Write about the consequences. Do you understand the concept of capital flight or investment flight or the loss of national credibility? This is not a humorous matter. This is a serious matter. This is not about capturing a headline or capturing hearts. This is about the life of a country, the future of a country. Oh my God. I am so happy, guys. I am so happy, Mr. President, that you know it's about the life of a country and the future of a country. Telling me that me must do research. Look for the facts and write about that. Mr. President, that's what I am presenting here. And that's what the newspaper and other commentators, including yourself, the Vice President, the Minister of Finance, and others have been presenting to this nation since those contracts were made public. Sir, the anger, scorn, and disgust you have been showing before you got into office is the same thing Lall and his team started and is continuing. You're the one who sat with the Gaffman critic and said, Guyanese can never, ever agree with such a contract and that it must be reviewed and renegotiated. That's matter. This is not about capturing a headline or capturing hearts. This is about the life of a country, the future of a country. Were you and Barajagde humorous, playing games with the nation with what you guys were saying back then? It seems so. Because today it's a different tune. You're attacking me for pressing for the exact thing you said and stood for. Help me here. Help the Guyanese people to understand where you are today, where you're taking them with their future and the life of this country. Where is your heart looking at this starving nation? Where is your heart when ExxonMobil can walk away and proudly declare money like sand coming out of Guyana to their shareholders? Where is your heart, Mr. Ali, to that? And what do you say to these people here who is looking to you and your government for a better life with this massive oil find? Tell them something, man, please. Where is the Irfan Ali today that was so passionate yesterday in changing this contract? Where is he? Has truth, honesty, and decency abandoned you? I don't know, Uncle. Help me to understand. Help me to understand the President Ali today. You talking about capital flight, investment flight, or loss of national credibility? Yeah? What credibility and investment flight with capital flight you talking about, Mr. President? You really in your right senses? Where the capital birds will fly to when Guyana has all the seeds? When Guyana is the best feeding ground for them? Where Exxon going? Where are they going when they're getting everything free here? Christ, man. Wow. What national credibility you talking about, President Ali? When a whole nation is being robbed, raped and sodomized, and then laughed on top of all of that. Somebody help me to understand that, man. There is no oil contract on earth with terms and conditions like what Guyana living with. And you talking about national credibility? You for real? Uncle, this man is for real? You know, many times I ask myself, what was done to these men or handed to these men that bring about this sudden change of heart? That they will go to the extent now to cost down people who talk about renegotiation of this contract. The whole world is talking about Guyana's oil contract, about the shaft we're getting. What he himself said we holding the wrong end of the stick. Is what end of the stick he giving us to hold now. There was nothing worse than that contract. Now today is the best thing around. What's happening in this land, bro? What is causing these people to eat their own words, may I ask? He talked about looking around to see the consequences of our neighbors and write about that. Guys, it's Venezuela he talking about. Venezuela went to the extreme and kick out the oil companies for doing exactly what Exxon is doing to us today. Mr. President, President Ali, Muhammad Irfan Ali, nobody is saying drive out ExxonMobil. All we're saying, and you were saying it too, is get what is fair and right for this starving nation so that this country can have some life in it. And that is the life of a country that you talked about, Mr. President Ali. That is the real life of a people, President Ali. The other neighbor, Suriname, is taking home 68.5% total take from the oil. The other one to be right, Brazil, is taking home 56% total take, while Guyana taking home 14.5%. Could you believe this thing, man? And you telling this nation to look at the consequences and look at neighbors? You got to be kidding, President Ali. You got to be out your head, out your mind to talk to us about consequences, asking for renegotiating in a contract that has room to renegotiate. You got to be joking, bro. You can't be serious. Honestly, guys, honestly, every man, woman, and child should be in the streets all over this country for what these intellectual giants doing to us as a people, misleading us as a nation, trying to pull wool over our eyes. You notice I didn't say clung, right? I said intellectual giants. Come on, man. Tomorrow, the oil conference is going on at the Marriott Hotel. All of you should join the protest at the Everest Cricket Club. Be there for 8 o'clock. Let us show the world that we want a better deal And President Ali is not giving us a better deal. Join us tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Listen to another piece of his speech he gave, cutting the ribbon at the shore base. Play him, let them hear him.
We have already said that whilst the PSA was far from the best deal, we could have disavowed the agreement, as I said. But that would have brought an immediate halt to production. Robin, what would you have done? All the companies, and you guys have to start speaking to, all the companies that have invested and continue to invest, what would have been the situation? Lars, all the people that you are training, the hundreds of Guyanese who are now doing oil and gas as a career, the banks that are lending, the companies that are adding value, you guys got to start speaking up. This is not a matter for the government. This is a national matter.
This is not a matter for the government. This is a national matter. The man nearly broke the table. We have already said that whilst the PSA was far from the best, we could have disavowed, dismantled the agreement. As I said, that would have brought a halt to production. Robin, what would you have done? Oh, Uncle, Robin is the man that owned the wharf at Houston. The shore-based facility. I am pretty much certain, knowing the intellect and business savvy of Mr. Robin, he would have been saying in his mind, what an unintelligent leader we have, speaking like that. Halt production? Man, again, if you're not getting anything out of your resources, what you got to do, brother? Not stop granting more projects and call them back to the table.
Exactly.
A 10-year-old child would know something like that. Then he went on to say, all the companies that have invested and continue to invest, what would have been the situation? Then he called on Mr. Lars, the owner of the two cranes. All the people that you're training, the hundreds of Guyanese you're now doing oil and gas as a career, the banks that are lending, the companies that are adding value. You guys got to start speaking up. This is not a matter for the government. This is a national matter. Yes, Mr. President, a national matter. We're a handful of Guyana, or the Guyanese people, catching a day work there. Yes, with Mr. Robin and Mr. Lars. While the entire populace is eating wind. Yes. Like Robin and Mr. Lars, if only they can speak their minds. Mr. President, man, they would have told you. No, let me don't say it. It's too much for me to say. What they would have told you. But they would have said, brother, we haven't trained anybody and we haven't made any investment as yet. If you get the right rules, regulations, and laws in place, they would be able to train every Guyanese and take over all the shore bases in Guyana to really make money. And nobody has to beg the bank for money to invest. Banks, Mr. President, financial institutions, Mr. Ali, once they're certain that money is there to be made, once money is there to be made from a business and they are convinced, they will give you the bank too, not only the money in the bank. So to tell the bank and tell Mr. Lars and Mr. Robin that this is not a matter only for government and that they all must speak up, you really don't want them men to speak up. Because, like I said, they would really expose you and Bara Jagdeo as to what you are doing to this country. Because both men are very intelligent business people. And I know both of them. You don't really want them to speak up, Mr. Ali. Both of them can, if given a chance. You hear me? Can make Guyana great with this oil industry. But as for now, they're making themselves and their families great with the little dribblings coming their way out of the oil industry. And I think they're happy with that. Because anything these days come your way in terms of dollars, no one wants to lose it. This is why they were silent when you were speaking, nodding their heads as if they agree with your speech. Yes, Mr. President. Deep in their hearts. Yes. The same heart you're talking about. And deep in their minds. If you try reading it, you will understand that you made yourself at that function nothing but a mango seller, selling out this nation to ExxonMobil and others. Guys, Robin and Lars are on to a good thing. They're not going to be so reckless as to open their mouths and spoil things for themselves. The world doesn't work that way, Mr. Ali. They don't want to be shut out or blacklisted and lose out on the little $2 they're making. Look back at the tape and you will see how ExxonMobil, yes, the kings of ExxonMobil and the cabal you walk with, yes, were the only ones smiling and clapping their hands while you were giving that speech. Because they were the only happy ones. ExxonMobil getting the flesh and your cabal eating the bones, while the Guyanese people is left to feed on the grass. It was a pitiful day. It was a sad day for Guyana, listening to that speech. And with that, I say good night. God bless you guys. Until Wednesday, join me and my team and let's continue. Let me just say before I take your phone call, the death toll in Turkey and Syria has moved up to 35,000 and counting, with over 100,000 injured. And a number of missing persons still unknown in the hundreds of thousands, still unknown. I tell some of you, we team up and send some money to help those victims. And just 2 or 3 people called me. Wait, man, it's so bad, things bad in this country. If you were getting your rightful share out of Exxon, Guyana alone could have helped all those people. They need money to buy blankets. They're sleeping on the streets without clothes. No shirt, no pants, no dress. Yes. It's too much expense you guys have. Oh, that you can't help with the little penny you're getting now. You're not even getting the penny. But you can still call me. We need to help them. They're living on the streets, out in the cold. They have lost everything. Remember, I told you over 11,000 homes flattened. homes and apartment buildings flattened. All over the world, people are shutting down, closing down gas plants. Not Guyana. We're running full speed into it. Last week, Los Angeles just announced they're shutting down the gas plant. They're going green. Don't forget, tomorrow is the start of the International Oil Conference at the Marriott, and there will be a peaceful picketing outside Everest Cricket Ground. Be there at 8 o'clock. And let's show the world that we have been robbed, we are being raped, and we are being sodomized. And that we want Exxon to take their knees off our necks. I will be there looking out for you. So, and that protest will continue Wednesday and Thursday.